A man lay motionless on the ground for 3 days and 3 nights, because behind him was a 100-meter-high cliff. If he slipped even slightly, he would fall straight down and die. To survive, he gripped the sand tightly and tried to maintain his balance, but the sand was too soft to support his weight. Slowly, his body began to slide. He quickly spread his legs and pressed his head against the ground to stop any movement. He was still terrified. He wanted to scream for help, but when he looked up, there was no one there. Just then, he noticed the mobile phone in his backpack had somehow survived. It felt like his last hope. As he carefully reached into the bag, his right hand slipped, and his entire body began to slide again. By sheer luck, he grabbed hold of a protruding rock and wedged himself against the edge. He was now just one step away from death. He calmed himself and began thinking of how to escape. Then he saw the waves rising and falling below. Suddenly, an idea came to his mind. He observed the timing of the waves, and when the right moment came, he jumped, but his waist struck a rock on the way down, and he lost consciousness. A while later, he woke up. Before he could drown, he somehow swam to a nearby rock. Coughing out the seawater stuck in his throat, he felt a moment of relief. Then he looked at his right hand. It was severely injured and bleeding, with the bone visible. Panic set in his mind, but he somehow managed to stay calm. He tried to walk, but as he took a step, a sharp crack sound came from his waist, and he collapsed, losing consciousness again. Some time later, a wave splashed over him and brought his consciousness back. He tried to get up, but his legs got paralyzed. When he had hit the rock earlier, his lower back had broken. Now only a few toes were still responding. Frightened, he began shouting for help, loudly and repeatedly, but there was no one near. Then he remembered he still had his phone. With great effort, he used his teeth to open the zip of his backpack. Despite the pain, he pulled out the phone, but it had already been soaked in seawater, and was dead. Seeing this, he felt completely broken. Still, he didn't give up. He wrapped his wounded hand with cloth, and looked around for a way out. In the distance, he saw an area covered in sand. Slowly, he began to drag himself toward the shoreline. Using one arm, he began to swim toward the direction he had seen. But halfway through, his strength gave out, and he began to sink. Just then, a memory of his wife flashed before his eyes, and from there, he found the courage to push himself again. Somehow, he managed to reach the sand. He thought he was finally safe, but a massive wave came and pulled him back into the sea. This time, using every bit of strength, he swam to another rock, threw his backpack ahead, and hooked its strap into the rock. Holding that strap tightly, he endured the waves. After a long time, the water calmed, and once again, he had survived. Just then, a seabird arrived and plucked a piece of flesh from his wound. He screamed in pain, and somehow dragged himself back onto the sand. There, crawling through the sand, he drew a sign of rescue, hoping someone might see it.